Shailesh, I'm going to start off with the positioning for the curve. Where do you see the curve sitting in the range of Tata Motors vehicles?
So, dimensionally, this is a 4.3 meter car. So, technically, you can say this is in the mid SUV kind of a space. But this being a differentiated SUV body style, this is going to appeal to customers who are considering a lot of adjacent segment, which includes, say, high SUV also. So I would imagine that customers who are looking for a mid SUV to a high SUV are the categories of customers who would be actively looking into it.
As we've traditionally seen, the SUV body style, or a traditional SUV body style, of course, has worked wonders for most manufacturers, including Tata Motors. You've gone down a very radical path with the coupe-like structure. Does that, kind of build boundaries for you guys, or do you think it'll liberate and open up things for Tata Motors in a bigger way than ever before?
We have seen coupe globally that it started with a sports car as a two-door concept, and then it became pretty popular, I would say, as a four-door coupe concepts in the luxury segment. And then now you are seeing mainstream OEMs also, either they have launched or have announced their intention to launch a coupe. So that's one global trend that we are seeing, and we thought that it makes tremendous sense in India. Question was whether the Indian market is going to accept this kind of a new body style, because the dominant logic says, or what to say, the general notion says that Indian customers don't experiment. Actually, I have a very different view to that. Take the example of Nexon. Nexon is one product which was not traditional in its body style. The first time you see and you're not sure whether you are really connecting with that because it's not traditional. Today, Nexon is the number one selling SUV in the market, in a market which has 45. So 44 would be traditional SUVs with a typical boxy design style. But what really customers of India liked is something which is different. And that's the reason which gives us confidence that a new differentiated body style is what the consumers of India will eventually love.
What is the role rather EVs are going to be playing at Tata Motors henceforth? Because what you've mentioned earlier is that the Curvv will be EV first, followed by the IC. Is this going to be a trend, and what kind of a role will EVs play henceforth?
So a generation 2 product, which has not got launched as yet, if it is coming in a new body style or it's a new product that we are launching, general approach would be that we come with EV first to set the aspiration right and give a message in the market that this is what is the future, right? And the ICE version will have differentiated element, but we would not devoid a customer of a new product or a new theme that we want to promote. So therefore, you are right that it will come as EV first and then ICE. But there are generation 2 products which already exist as an ICE. They are being adapted, and therefore they'll come as an EV as a second product to the ICE.
Would I be right in saying that henceforth Tata Motors, you will not probably be doing ICE alone as a standalone product? It will probably be EV first and then ICE as well. Is that how it will follow, how the trend will follow at Tata Motors?
Would not say that I can make that kind of a generic comment, but what is in the pipeline, one can say that that kind of an approach would make sense, right? Because if there is going to be a period in the next decade where there will be a mix of EVs as well as ICE, it makes tremendous sense that we would have a combination of both leveraged, on architectures which are then designed, to take, both kind of a concept in a more efficient way.
Talking about architecture, what you've mentioned also, this is an extension or rather an adaptation of an existing architecture, an evolution of sorts. Would it, or rather, what stopped you from coming down with a completely ground up, a completely new design for a vehicle of this order, where you've, progressed significantly ahead of what you've done so far?
Specifically, if you talk about this particular body style and coupe, we wanted to promote this concept in a more mainstream ICE world also, at the same time EV, right? So that was the reason why we selected an adapted platform. The work on pure EVs is something which is already happening, right? The 10 products that we have announced in a 5-year period, includes generation 1, generation 2, generation 3 product. This is a generation 2 product. A generation 3 product is a pure EV. So we are also working on that. But when you make a pure EV without any constraint of the need and requirements of an ICE version, you have more degrees of freedom available to think in a more innovative and novel way what you can do as far as body style is concerned, as far as interior space is concerned. So you will see a rendition which might be very different than what you see in a generation 1 and generation 2 product. So this has a value, this which we want to promote. And there are certain renditions of design that you will see in generation 3 product which might not be possible in a generation 1, generation 2.
Right. Shailesh, at heart, you've also been an EV man. It's been one of your fond, how would I say it, spearheading projects for Tata Motors. And in a past role as well, you've already talked about how work was going on in developing batteries, and something that we will see now on the curve. Could you take us through a bit of, the kind of development that has been done in this regard? Because you're now claiming a range of about 400 to 500 kilometers, which means battery technology would have to have improved significantly to come to that. Could you take us through that journey and through those changes that have happened there?
So, the battery chemistries as well as densities are changing, every maybe 6 months, not even a year. And the battery manufacturers globally are coming with new technologies and, processes and form factors which allow that. And we are moving along with that kind of evolution. So, when we would have launched the first generation product, it would have been a certain kind of chemistry, a certain kind of form factor, and a certain kind of capability of fast charging technologies and all that you could really enable them with. Over a period of time, as we move to this kind of a product, and where we have an advent that we have seen in the lithium ion battery space, we have leveraged them. We have gone for battery packs which are more, battery cells which are more, or which are higher in energy density. They can take more faster charge rate through the C ratings that we get. So all those kind of advents which are available in the market, we have taken to ensure that in the same space we are able to package more energy. So that's what has happened. As we go forward, there are more breakthroughs that are happening, and we will be fully exploiting or leveraging upon them. So this is what we will see in the future.
The Curvv, effectively, what you said also, is generation 2 for all of your technologies, whether it's electrification, connected, everything, V2V. But this go-to-market is roughly about 2 years away. Is there a possibility that we would see generation 2 coming up in the Nexon before that? Would Nexon headline generation 2 technologies from Tata Motors in the EV space?
So this is the more mature form of generation 2. So as you move from generation 1 to generation 2, you will have models coming prior to this in generation 2, which might be current ICE products, but being enabled for all the enhancement and upgrades that one has defined for generation 2 products. So you will see launches before this in generation 2 with those kind of upgrades. This will see the maximum upgrade and enhancement. So path is progressive, and this would be possibly the most mature form of generation 2 product.
Well, Shailesh, thank you so much. I mean, it's an exciting journey that I think we're all looking forward to and seeing this development. Thank you so much for this and for talking to us today.
My pleasure.